Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to speak here today and hopefully share some facts, figures, tidbits about this really interesting and varied generation that is millennials. Did I go to the end? That was a really quick presentation. I hope you learned a lot. Coming to save the day. All right. Well, I can start. Really, one of the things that is fascinating as you try and sit down and look at, any type of media behavior and media consumption, it's really important to, go and see, where you were, where you've come from, and where you are today. Am I good? All right. So very simply put, we started in a really much simpler world, right? We had a few television networks, very few devices connected to the television screen. As we moved through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, cable companies came on board, and then increasingly devices that connect to the television and bring content to your television screen in a different way started to appear. By 2006 to present, we started having the proliferation of on-demand, the ability to time shift, and really that ability to have kind of a portable, personal connection to content through devices like smartphones and tablets. And that's really defined a generation of millennials that sit in between that green bar and that purple bar. So the media universe, today we live really in a very complex media universe, and each of us interact in this universe in slightly different ways. One thing that is unique about millennials is they live kind of across this world of connected televisions and computers and tablets and smartphones and social media, and they really go from one platform to the next in a very seamless way. All right, so millennials. They're very interesting. They're not all digital natives, right? We've heard that term, digital natives, and those are really, that's the generation that's coming on the heels of millennials. But they are very intrinsically different, and the ability to define the segments within them is really important. We'll take a look at a current snapshot at their viewing behaviors and their patterns of media consumption, and then looking forward, hopefully set up a little bit of the conversation that the panel will have as they share their own insights for really connecting with that group and hopefully keeping them as they grow. So this is a very basic snapshot of millennials and a few basic points to think about. One, they make up more than a quarter of the viewing universe. I know that you look at different publications and you might have a different definition. Really here, for the purpose, I took a look at 13 to 34-year-olds. And what you have there is a bridge between very different age groups and life stages. You go from a teenager to a young adult who is either entering the workforce or going to college, and then into kind of that more mature young adult who might start a family. And the other thing to really think about in terms of thinking of millennials is they are the generation that is completely multicultural. Their lives are multicultural. Friendships, people they interact with, people they work with. And that's really important as you think about developing content. So more choices are driven by technology. We know, we looked at across the first few slides, we have all of these devices at our disposal, and this generation is always connected. And they have the ability, again, to have that portable connection and that personal connection with content through their devices, whether in the home or out of the home. So here are a few facts and figures on kind of how media is consumed over the different ages, whether it's teen, young adults, and adults 25 to 34. And what I've highlighted here in each of the sections is kind of the most consumption across each of these demos. And one thing that I think is really important to think about is not so much when you reach this generation, but where do you reach them? Because as we'll see in a couple more slides, the when you reach them, pretty much any time. They're, remember, the always connected generation. But where you're going to reach them is going to be slightly different, and it's going to be, you know, on the TV set, but it could be on the TV set with content that's coming through traditional delivery services like satellite or cable, or it could be via content that's coming via a broadband connection. Video game consoles, you know, have long been seen as the Trojan horse of the kind of media environment in the households, really acting as a media hub. And increasingly, devices like Apple TV and Roku come into households, and you have the ability to connect that way. For younger, then you have your kind of the crux of your millennials, 18 to 24-year-olds, and those are the people who really are going to connect with on digital platforms more so. And again, it's the where, the when, as we see, is pretty much any time. So the other interesting thing as we look at millennials broken out by teens and young adults into their early 30s, is that you cannot underestimate the power of television. Television has volume. It has volume in terms of time spent viewing. It's a connection. People watch television. So, you know, I go to a lot of panels, and you read in the trade press very often about the demise of television. I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not happening. But one of the things that we do see is that a lot of the growth is in the digital platforms and digital video. But what happens is the content is what's driving it, right? Because these consumers have moved seamlessly, you know, not caring between platform and devices, but really looking for content. And so again, this video on the internet, it's not about your 5-second, you know, cat videos. It's about quality, professionally produced content that is available to this generation and to the generation that's coming up on their heels, which are the digital natives, who are going to look for that content in these, on these platforms. So this slide, I go back and forth, but one of the things, it highlights again, the blue bars are kind of the people who were in their 20s, early 20s to late 20s in 2004, when really most of these devices and platforms were not available. And their media consumption as they became, you know, 30 to 39-year-olds was slightly higher than when they were younger. This is different than your 20 to 29-year-olds. Today who are watching less television. But again, going back to the previous slide, it's about what else is augmenting that television viewing experience. And what is augmenting it is the availability of content on digital platforms. So I think if you had, really what I need to do is add the bar for the digital platforms, right? Because in 2004, really, you know, you're not going on the internet and getting content. You don't have a tablet, you don't have a smartphone, you don't have that always connection. But in 2014, you do, and that just augments your time spent with media. Okay, and this is my favorite piece of information about millennials and looking forward to this connected consumer, right? And the fact that second screen really enhances the media experience. Content and connection at all times is really part of the language, and even though I don't always believe or understand it, this generation has an incredible ability to do it all. And so whether you're watching content and connecting with friends, connecting with characters, plot lines, voting on your phones, you're really enhancing that general experience and that general feeling of media and the desire to follow media. Certainly one thing that's striking is that both tablets and smartphones are a great vehicle to have that second screen experience and enhance that ability to connect with this generation. So again, I think I'll leave you with the idea of when and where, and hopefully I was able to make it clear. I think the where is important, and that's something that we all need to worry about. I think the when is pretty clear because you will find them at any point in time. And so the ability to connect through all the touch points is ripe for development. That's it.